With this tutorial, we're going to review the more basic concepts of masking as it pertains to compositions, which is something that you're going to use a lot in your career as a packaging designer. So I will also review some basic selection tools. The object selection tool is what I'm going to use for this. We've previously used the wand and the quick selection tool a lot and other things like the pen tool, but for now I'm going to go to the object selection tool and use select and mask to refine it. So W is the quick key for the set of selection tools that we're going to use today. So I'm going to hit Shift W to toggle in between different tools. Right now it currently went to the quick selection tool, but if I hit Shift W, you can see it goes to the wand. Do it one more time and it goes to the object selection tool. Okay, so this is a great tool if you're just trying to isolate objects that are on a solid background or don't have a lot of stuff behind it. Easy to isolate these kind of objects. So I'm just going to drag this marquee over it, and you can see it's going to take a second and then give me like a basic selection. Now it's pretty good, especially if this is just phase one, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into select and mask, and I'm going to play with the smart radius. So I'm going to turn on smart radius, and I'm going to just bring the pixels up until I get some of these details back here. And you can see it adds back some of those details of the green, like leafy bits of this tomato. And also what it does is it's really refining the edge here, and it gives you like a softer edge. So the refine edge tool, the thing about that is it tries to mimic the kind of edge the object naturally has. So I'm gonna hit OK, and for this purpose, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you could see the more I go into the radius here, the more blurry this background edge gets. So you find a comfortable balance, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect as long as you have some of these kind of things showing. But just to again show you, going over to like 80 pixels is like this gets a lot softer, and then it picks up more of these things. But then as I move it back down, these things get a little bit tighter, not as soft, not as blurry, and then it loses a little bit of these details. But this is good. So looks like anywhere between the 10 and like 40 range is pretty good, depending on what you want to have that edge look like. And you can use quick mask to brush back any details. So for example, if I want to brush in some of these details here, I can use this quick mask feature, Q, and then use my brush tool, B, and then you'd go just to like a more standard brush, and white is what reveals that. So I can clean up these areas if I want. But again, this doesn't have to be perfect, so Q to exit quick mask, and I'm just going to click this mask icon to make a mask of it. So this is the first step to masking. You can just click on this add a mask layer once you have your selection, and it will add a mask, and simple as that. Now what I like to do when I'm putting together compositions is I go to the original image, and this is an RGB image, and I create the mask in there, and then I turn it to a smart object. Right click or control click and turn it into a smart object. So then when I bring the image in to the file I'm working with for the composition, it still maintains this RGB. Now I'm going to use this image for the basis of the composition. So I'm just going to quickly convert this to a smart object as well. And then I'm going to change this and make this CMYK. I'm not going to merge. I'm not going to rasterize. And there we have a CMYK file, but this has a RGB smart object in it, and I'm going to bring another RGB smart object in it here. And we'll minimize this for now. And the second concept of masking is Command T, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, is when you have objects in Photoshop, trying to get them to fit together in like a composition. So even though I have this tomato layer here, I want to make it appear as if it's in the bowl. So I'm going to hide it for now. I'm going to take my marquee tool, and you can toggle Shift M to get to the elliptical marquee tool. And when you're using this tool, you can hold spacebar down to move it around, which is a great thing. But again, this doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm trying to catch this inside edge of the bowl, and that's going to be the start point for my mask. Okay, so I'm going to reveal that tomato again, and now with this selection, I'm going to mask this in there. And you can see, you know, it gets the bottom part in nice, but the top part I have to work on a little bit. Actually, because I'm going to use this selection again later, I'm just going to make a selection of it by command clicking on the mask, and then I'm going to save this shape. I'm going to fill a layer, option delete to fill with my foreground color, and I'm just going to save that for later so that I can preserve that shape for another mask. And then I'm going to go into this mask, and I'm just going to use my brush tool, and I'll put a pretty, you know, precise edge on the brush, and I'm going to brush white. So if you go to D for default colors, you know, you have your white, black and white colors, and make sure white is the foreground color. And then I'm just going to brush, you know, over. Now again, mind you, I'm working in the mask, and as we know, painting white in a mask reveals and painting black in a mask hides. So again, just to go on this mask, if I switch X to flip my colors and paint in black, it's going to hide again anything that I paint in black on that layer is going to hide that portion of the layer. I'm just going to Command Z out of that, but now you can see I have this object masked in there, and that was pretty simple. So that is the basis of masking an object into, you know, making it appear as if one object is, you know, layered into another object, when really, if I hide this mask by holding Shift and clicking on it, you can see it's in front, but because of the masking, I've made it so it appears like it's inside. And that, again, is pretty basic for compositions, and that's pretty much it.